There's an upside to fasting. It's not just about depriving yourself from food. It's about what you get in return. So you get mental energy, you get clarity, you get new ideas, self-confidence, man, through the roof. Yeah, there might be days when you're laying on the couch feeling blah or even depressed as the sugar leaves your body or the toxins are floating around in your bloodstream. But once you clear those through the supplements we're going to talk about in a minute, the self-confidence comes in and you're like, I can do anything. If I can fast, I can do anything. So it's really just proving to yourself who you really are, why you're here on this planet, what you're here to do. And it all just comes to you. You don't have to try. It just starts coming through you, that birthright of pure joy, but also the birthright of we belong here, that born worthiness, all of that, whether it's day 1, day 2, day 3, or even it takes till day 5 to hit, it will hit.
Hi, this is Elaina Love, and welcome to another episode of the Pure Joy Podcast. I'm super excited about today's episode because Kate and I just finished a 5-day water fast over December, and we share all the details of what we did on that 5-day water fast and some of our hard parts and how we overcame the rough spots and a lot of the different supplements that we added in to make our lives easier. And we really share all of our tips and tricks with you. Plus, we really get into detail towards the end of the podcast about healing scar tissue, Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, any fibroids in the body, and also just living our birthright of pure joy, what that looks like, and how important fasting is for finding your truth. So please listen all the way to the end, and I think you're really going to enjoy all the information you get in this episode. So let's get going.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today with Katelyn Louise. Hi, Katelyn.
Hi.
We are just big advocates and fans of cleansing and fasting and everything related to health, rejuvenation, and healing. For any of you who have listened to my podcast on autoimmune, Kate tells her story about how she was able to heal her autoimmune as well as other ailments. We really want to just be here today to talk to you about when's a good time to fast, what kind of cleanses and fasts can you do, and what's the best way to approach it. So Katelyn, you and I just did a 5-day water fast together. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you felt leading up to that and what your decision was in deciding to do it?
Well, I really love to do extended fasts, especially with other people. And I think our last extended fast together was over a year ago at OHI. So I was really just looking forward to having that time together again to do more than 3 days. I would say a fast longer than 3 days is an extended fast. And yeah, going into this fast, just knowing exactly what to expect, but also being open to the new things my body was ready to release. Because I feel like every fast that we go through, we hit another layer of whatever it be, the gunk, the emotions, all the other stuff tied to really detoxing the body. So being open to what is supposed to come through.
Yeah, I know for me, and it probably happened for you too, is like there's just something in you that just knows when it's time to fast. And did you kind of get that little voice whispering to you, it's time to do something?
Oh, I definitely did. And even like 2 weeks leading up, I just kept telling my body, it's okay. It's okay. We're going to be doing this fast. Everything's going to be okay. And, having autoimmune, it is something that I feel like I've cured, but it's also not curable. So there's always going to be some sort of flare up or inflammation that can happen when either I get stressed or I'm not really paying attention to my body or listening. And I feel like those 2 weeks leading up, I felt like a little bit floundering in that way, like what's going on. Usually it happens that my digestion gets a little bit thrown off. And that's when I know, okay, if I just can do a fast, stop eating, give it that rest that it needs, everything goes back to normal. So it definitely was talking to me before that. And that's why I felt so ready for this one.
And I felt ready too. Like I know, like you said, we normally go to Optimum Health Institute, which is down in San Diego. And we've gone a couple times together. We try and make it our yearly pilgrimage right around the holidays because when you get that break and that reset, and I know you're like, I don't celebrate holiday food. I don't do the holiday cookies. I don't drink the holiday wine. I don't really indulge in that way. So I actually spend the holidays to like retreat and go within, which I think is a natural mammalian tendency. I want to say human, but it's like bears hibernate. So many animals go into hibernation during this time of year because the food is scarce. Like where I live in Bend, Oregon, there's no food growing here. I could make pine needle tea, but like,
Right.
so it's like the perfect time of year to go, this would, if we were original humans, we were trekking through, we were on our little trek, food would be scarce and we probably would be hunkering down. And then I said to you, I said, why don't I just fly out there? We do our own cleanse and fast, and then we save that money and we get to spend time together, which was really fun.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of nice being, in our own home. I consider this your home too.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like a comfortable space that like, you're right. You're like the complete expert at this, been doing this for 20 years. We know what we're doing. I think the reason to go somewhere else is to just not have to do anything, like making your juices and having the plan ready for you, which there's a time and a place for that. But there's also something comforting about being in your own house, especially if you don't feel like you're going to get distracted easily being there.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that, because you and me, we run this business together, Pure Joy Planet, and when we're together, a lot of times is when a lot of our creative ideas come in and we get super excited about stuff. So we kind of had to pre-plan and say, we are completely 100% off the hook of needing to work. Like we put these 5 days, but we were like, okay, if we feel inspired, great, but nobody's obligated to do anything. And I think that for me anyway, it really let me off the hook of feeling this need to do anything. And so then my complete nervous system could relax, because that's an important aspect of this. A lot of people ask me, can you work while you're cleansing? And I say, well, it's not ideal. I mean, if you have to, then let's talk about some ways that you can do it to make your whole body more supported. And we will talk about that. But if you're going to do a water fast like we did, where you're really running on empty, literally, you want to just not have your nervous system be firing at like, I got to do this. I've got obligations.
Mm-hmm. And really, for me, I felt it was more giving my mind a break from thinking about work. I was able to really just go into my emotional detox a lot more, because my tendency too is like, okay, fasting, now I have all this time to work, and I can sometimes run myself down even further. So I think, yeah, if you have that tendency to be really determined to be working during that time, like also know that the benefits of not working, like my brain afterwards felt like I could do anything. So I really was able to give it a break, and now I'm back like better than ever.
Yes. And that, what you just said is so important, because I know you and you're one of those people that just will drive yourself really hard. I think me being older, like I've kind of learned in some ways to nurture myself a little bit more in that way, but I still do it sometimes. But like I see how you can actually get like you said, your autoimmune can flare up just from stress, just from, oh my God, I've got way more to do than I actually have time for. And then just saying, I'm taking this time off. And I even encouraged you to have an auto response on your email that like, hey, we are busy cleansing this week and we will get back to you next week. That really, I saw how much that helped you. So I want to say that out loud, because I think anybody listening that might be the same kind of personality, that they're just really driven, it's super important to take a fast from technology as well as a fast from food. And, fast from media, a fast from anything stimulating. Even your social media, what we did is I posted on social media, but I didn't hang out on Facebook or Instagram all day. I just basically made a video every day and posted that. And that was about it. I think you kind of did the same.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a big one for us entrepreneurs too, is because we always feel like if we're not being productive, then nothing's going to get done. But not being productive for those few days is like going to make you that much more productive for the rest of the year. So I just really want to harp on that too. We're all in different stages, but it's really important.
Yeah, and that's why December to me is the best month of the year to do an extended fast, because one, it's the change of season. So change of season is an ideal time to fast, and that happens 4 times a year, and it happens to be on December 21st, which is actually the day we ended our fast, which is perfect, because that's when people usually get sick, because something's happening on the planet energetically. Even if it doesn't seem like the weather changes much from December 20th to the 21st, it's just such a healing time for us. So we always plan it right then, because people are totally going into Christmas and Hanukkah, and work just seems to slow down that time of year, which is why my December cleanses are my favorite time of year.
Mm-hmm.
January is also a super great time because it's still winter, and it's a great time to hit the reset button. And great times to fast are the change of season, which is December, March, June, and the 21st or the 22nd of September is the equinox, the fall equinox. So those are great times, but also some other times to fast are during a full moon, if you just want to do like a 1-day water fast. And we're kind of generally today talking about water fasting because that's what we did, but it could also be a juice fast. So those are the kind of fasts that you can do. A juice fast. You could even do a blended. I would even call that a fast because you're fasting from dairy and grains and meat and anything else that might be in your diet normally, like sugar or alcohol or coffee. So even just doing like blended smoothies can be a great way to fast.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great one to do if you're just beginning to start your fasting journey. I think that can really catapult you into wanting to eat less and less or go lighter and lighter. Because sometimes when we start a fast, like the first 2 days, if you're on blended and that's your first time doing it, it's way easier than just jumping into juice or water. And then sometimes by the third and fourth day, you just naturally want less. So it's a good progression for your body too. It's like not this going from eating food to not eating. It's like your body's still getting that fiber and nourishment, but you're not putting in all the other stuff.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. That would be like a 5-day, what I would call like a juice fast sandwich. You got 5 days. So you introduce your body to the fast with blended foods, especially if you've been eating a normal standard diet with lots of grains and meat and dairy and sugar and alcohol and just like unhealthy foods. If you were to just completely go on water the next day, it would be really hard on your system. So we don't actually even encourage that. So Katelyn, why don't you talk about what would be in those smoothies the first 2 days?
Soups are a really good idea, like a blended soup, something with like zucchini and parsley. Any herbs are going to be really good. So parsley and cilantro are two of my favorites to add into those first blended soups just because they're so detoxifying. They're pulling things out while still giving you some nutrients and probably a little bit of fat. So maybe a little bit of avocado, maybe a little bit of olive oil, something that's just going to blend up really nicely, and maybe some salt. So getting that salt in is really important there too. Low glycemic berries, nothing with like mangoes or anything too astringent or acidic in there.
No bananas.
No bananas.
Yeah, because bananas actually can be constipating. Some people don't know that. But also they're very high in sugar, especially when you liquefy them in a blender. They're going to go into the bloodstream quicker than they would if you were chewing. So we really don't encourage bananas at all. We just feel like they're really high in sugar. More of a low carb, high fat diet is how you would classify what we encourage. And that's even while you're cleansing and fasting. So, maybe on your first day, if you're really used to a lot of fruit, instead have, some apple or some, like you said, berries are great. And even like if you wanted to put half of an orange or something just for your vitamin C in the blender. But then by the second day, lots of spinach and parsley, like you said, and maybe a handful of berries, half of an avocado, or, you want to stay away from nuts and seeds. So you don't want to really be putting or any kind of nut butter in your smoothie, but just kind of a high veg, like fill the blender with greens is how I like to look at it. So if it's a soup, you want to just like stuff in as much spinach or kale or parsley, or even dill would be really good, and basil or cilantro. Like you said, the herbs are super high in ormus and they're really healing and alkalizing. So we want to get the body really alkaline. So just look at it that way. Like, what can I put in that there's no way I could chew? And celery would be a great one to add in. And like you said, zucchini as a base, because zucchini is like a neutral food. So no sugar in it, but it's also creamy and it's got nutrition. And you can get that all year round.
And I'd say if you're hung up on the fruit thing, what we like to tell people is the more sugars that you're going to be feeding yourself during your cleanse, the hungrier you're going to be. So I actually led a couple girlfriends to a cleanse a couple years ago, and they were so tempted to like sip the bottom of someone else's smoothie that had mango or banana or whatever it had in it. And I said, you're just going to torture yourself because you're giving your body that little bit of sugar and it's going to get ravenously hungry. So even if you're a fruit person, just think of these 5 days as like the least torture on yourself, because even that little sip is going to turn on your digestive system and it's going to start eating up those sugars and it's going to want more.
Right. So let's talk about that. So we're on this 5-day cleanse, let's say. So the first cleanse we're talking about is 2 days of blended. And then since we got 5 days, we could do 1 or 2 days of juice. And I would recommend 2 days of juice. So let's just say we're starting on a Monday. So Monday and Tuesday are blended smoothies and blended soups. And you can have up to 5 drinks a day. So you could have a blended smoothie in the morning, maybe a hot tea or like a detox tea of some kind. You can just buy like a yogi tea, or a chunk of Piedra is great, which is a breakstone tea, great for liver cleansing. And then you can have like afternoon for lunch, like your blended soup, like you mentioned, Katelyn, a little bit of high mineral salt. You could add a dash of onion powder or garlic powder, or even a chunk of ginger or a clove of garlic would be great. And you choose your fat. You could use olive oil. You could use a quarter of an avocado. Blend that all. Just make it taste yummy. And we have lots of recipes on the website. Put a link there so you guys can look up a green soup. Maybe 1 more smoothie that day. So you got 3 blended things and maybe a green juice. And then you could have like your hot tea at night, or a hot veggie broth, which is what I include in my cleanses I do here. For veggie broth, you just save up a bunch of your, like say you're just on a normal diet and you've got onion skins and ends of carrots and broccoli stems and bits of kale that don't go in your salad. You just freeze all that in a big gallon Ziploc bag in your freezer. And then when it comes time to make your veggie broth, throw all that in a pot and fill it with water and boil it for literally like maybe 30 minutes and let it cool down and strain all the fiber out. And you've got a week's worth of broth. Super nourishing. And like you said, like if you add a little bit of this Celtic salt or Himalayan or real salt, which we love from Utah, that's going to feel like you're getting food. It's so like salt in broth is just the most nourishing food that you can get. So Monday and Tuesday, you do that. And then Wednesday, let's just have you switch over to green juice, what's your favorite kind of green juice, Katelyn?
Well, I'm super simple. I just love the celery and lemon. But otherwise, like celery, lemon, parsley is my favorite.
And we like to call that a celery lemonade. And it's basically 1 head of celery. You put that through a juicer, or we like to do an easier way of chopping it up, throwing it in a Vitamix blender, throw a couple tablespoons of lemon juice in, blend it gently, super gently, and then squeeze it out through a nut milk bag. And you've got juice like within 5 minutes, and it's super easy cleanup. If you don't have a nut milk bag, actually like not a terry cloth, but like a flour sack towel or a tea towel works really well just to squeeze the fiber out of the vegetables. And then you've got juice really quickly and easily. And you could have like 3 or 4 celery juices in a day with a hot tea in the morning, or like a hot lemon ginger drink in the morning. Try not to do stevia because you don't want to stimulate your sweet palate. No honey, no coconut sugar. Just keep it simple, keep it real. And then like you do your 3 juices during the day, and then maybe at night a hot veggie broth. And if you're dying in the evening, have like maybe a hot detox tea of some kind. And really water, lots of water. The more water, the better. And like you said, Katelyn, the more you drink, the more it kind of makes you hungry. And the less you drink, by day 3 or 4, like let's say by Thursday, you're probably just like, I could do 1 juice and a hot tea and I'm good. Like it's just like almost like you don't want to bother yourself anymore with all these beverages.
Exactly.
And then day 5 could be Friday. Then maybe you go back into blended. So you're easing your body out of the cleanse. And then so by Saturday, you could just be eating normally again. So that's like a really easy 5-day blended / juicing cleanse. And you're going to get huge results from that. You're going to have what I get reported, like when I had the cafe and people would do this kind of cleanse, they'd come in by the 4th day or the 5th day and be like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. I have so much energy. I'm so happy. Look at my clothes are looser. My stomach's flat. Like people always love to report that their stomach is flatter and that they actually have more mental clarity. Their meditations are better. Just all of the stuff that we want in life seems to happen when you fast.
Yeah, exactly. I think the biggest one for me this time was the mental clarity. It's amazing. You're not giving yourself anything for that many days. I feel like day 4 for me was just, wow, my brain was just so on fire and it felt so good. This natural energy that you could just run on forever. Like physical energy, yeah, you're a little slower. It goes through spurts, but that mental energy, it's something amazing.
Yeah. And we were even joking about that. Like on day 3, which was our hardest. So it was me, you, and Bryce, who's your boyfriend who lives with you. So the three of us decided to commit to this fast together. Day 3, the three of us we hit this wall because we were only drinking water. And I think maybe Bryce was having a little bit of green juice or something, but very little, just less than 100 calories a day. And the three of us even self-confessed that the next morning on day 4, I was in my room thinking I was going to sneak out and have something. And you said the two of you couldn't sleep, so you were out on a walk going, maybe we'll have something.
And he was the one who talked me out of it. I'm like, oh, come on, let's just do it. And he's like, no, we're not doing it.
And so there's several reasons that we're bringing this up. One is if this happens to you, you're completely normal. 2 is that fasting together can be really beneficial because I didn't want to let you guys down. And I was like, no, I've committed to this. I'm doing this with them. So that's great. Even if you're not in the same house with someone, if you just do it as a group or somehow commit with other people to fast together, it just, something about the camaraderie really helps.
I think that's key. I really, really do. And that's also why on our website, we do actually have this full protocol, which is in our liver cleansing course. It's an online course that has videos every day, but we really do suggest that people do it together. We actually even have a Facebook support group that you can go on there and be like, hey, I'm starting my 5-day fast. Anyone want to do it with me? And we actually, during our fast, we had a number of our students who were actually doing the fast with us. And some of them were even doing the full liver cleanse. So I think that's where a lot of people screw up is they're either at home with their families, making them meals while trying to do this and not getting the support that they need. So it's really easy when you don't have that support to talk yourself out of it. And that's exactly it. Like, I didn't want to let either of them down. Okay, I did for a second, but it passes. And I knew that I would feel worse about it if I would have done that. But if I didn't have anyone to turn to or to say like, hey, I'm struggling right now, I really just want to end this, then it would have been really easy to. So I think that is probably my most important takeaway.
Yeah. And in fact, I was just on our liver cleanse site yesterday because people tag me when they're on there. And I love just going on and answering questions about someone, hey, I can't get this supplement. So we want to talk about supplements too, because it's really good to support yourself, not with the kind of supplements you think, like not with like, should I keep taking my calcium? It's not like that. It's more cleansing support supplements that actually help you not suffer. And that's super important. So I want to talk about that in a minute, but let's just so we can kind of finish this storyline, let's just finish talking about how our fast went. So that was day 3, which was the hardest. And both me and you were like laughing because whenever we've guided these 5-day liver flushes in Bali or even here in the US, when we do it in person, by day 3, everybody hates us. And I say to Kate, why are we doing this? And you're like, day 4, we're doing it for day 4. And we have to remember day 4. So of course, just like troopers, we all wake up on day 4. And like you said, mental clarity. I was like, oh my God, I can do this. It's so easy. It's over at this point. As far as consuming anything, like all your hunger shuts off, all your desire to eat. And in fact, the brain to me always says, food's kind of a joke. I can't believe how much attention I give it. And so many people have told me that while they're on a fast, they realize that food is controlling them and that they're really addicted to certain things. And then by day 4, you're like, oh, wow, I don't need that stuff. Something in you just shuts off. And I love that part because you realize you're free. Because food is something in our society that we can never get away from because we need it to live. Let's face it, there's very few breatharians in the world. So it's part of our survival. You couldn't starve a baby. Babies need to eat. We can't just forever get away from food. So what people realize when they're on a fast is, wow, I'm really addicted to coffee, or I'm really addicted to sugar, or wow, I can't believe how much I needed that thing. But now that I've been doing this fast, I could give it up. So it's really great to show yourself how strong you are. And this actually builds willpower and it builds resilience. And it shows you that you're tough. It shows you how, like, I just feel like it's like getting a medal. Like, you are awesome when you do these fasts.
Mm-hmm. Especially since they're such a foreign thing for so many of us.
Yes. And we talk about that because my nephew lives with me and we fast twice a week, Sundays. And well, he fasts on Sundays with me. And then I do Sundays and either Wednesdays or Thursdays, just because I like that 2 days a week. We always joke, like, people never go without food, like not even one day. And when you tell them you're fasting, they look at you, they kind of screw their face up and go, Is that good for you? We really have not been taught in our society at all how amazing fasting can be for us.
And for me, it's just such a good tool even to know I can go a day without food, because sometimes you're traveling and you don't have options, or sometimes you just feel crappy. You went out for dinner the night before, you ate something that didn't agree with you, you wake up the next morning feeling groggy or whatever it is, and to know that you can go that day without food and wake up the next day, you feel like a whole new person. You feel better than you did the day before you went to that restaurant. Your digestive system turns back on again in like a really healthy way, and everything just seems to just work again. So even just a 1-day fast is something that everyone should be practicing at some point in their life.
Right. So hitting the reset button. So while we're talking about this, and if you're listening going, well, I could never do a 5-day fast, just say, all you have to do is start with a 1-day fast on a Sunday, a day that most people don't work. If you work on Sunday and you have a different day off, then choose that day. And you can spend that day reading those books that you've always been wanting to read that are sitting on your bookshelf, starting a new practice. Like we have here at the house, we have these books that are mandalas, and I have these ink pens, and I bought colored pencils. And so on our fasting days, a lot of times by 3, I'm just kind of tired. I'll just sit there on the couch and start coloring. And that's really therapeutic. Or just journaling your feelings, like, I'm really hungry. Like these thoughts are coming up, these negative thoughts or whatever it is. And just use that day for creativity. And when you and me were together, this was fun. So we had 5 days together, and it was right before Christmas. And you had this whole table filled with arts and crafts. So I loved that. You had these little tiny canvases, and I like that you bought small ones. You can go to like Michael's or one of those craft stores and bought really small ones. And then you had a set of acrylic paints and little paintbrushes. And like I would just paint these little scenes, like a tree or something. And it's so therapeutic while you're hungry or you're thinking about food, just to sit there and like, I'm just going to paint, because it gives you a creative outlet, something to do other than eat.
Yeah, and I am not the creative person. I never could have seen myself having a craft table. My creative outlet has always been food, but something about fasting, you want to do it all, and you get these weird sensations to want to use your hands, or at least I do. And yeah, crafting or painting something is such a good way to do it, and journaling, of course.
Well, I heard someone recently mention to get yourself into a peak state. And then I started thinking about it. What is a peak state for me? And I noticed that especially on my days where I'm just fasting for 1 day, I get into a peak state. And a lot of those days I'll call you, Kate, and be like, I'm sorry, but I've got like 10,000 ideas and I just need to talk to you about them, and don't feel like we need to do them all. But my brain is just going creative crazy at the moment. So if you've never been in a peak state, fasting, maybe not the first time you do a water fast for a day, but by the 3rd or 4th week that you're water fasting once a week, you start to get into these peak states. Have you experienced that too, Kate?
Oh, absolutely. And I think we both feed off of each other in our peak states. It's the most euphoric feeling, like this feeling of pure joy and like just contentment and mental energy. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're telling you all this because there's an upside to fasting. It's not just about depriving yourself from food. It's about what you get in return. So you get mental energy, you get clarity, you get new ideas, self-confidence, man, through the roof. Yeah, there might be days when you're laying on the couch feeling blah or even depressed as the sugar leaves your body or the toxins are floating around in your bloodstream. But once you clear those through the supplements we're going to talk about in a minute, the self-confidence comes in and you're like, I can do anything. If I can fast, I can do anything. So it's really just proving to yourself who you really are, why you're here on this planet, what you're here to do. And it all just comes to you. You don't have to try. It just starts coming through you, that birthright of pure joy, but also the birthright of we belong here, that born worthiness, all of that, whether it's day 1, day 2, day 3, or even it takes till day 5 to hit, it will hit.
Yeah. And that's part of that emotional detox too. And that's what a lot of people experience, and what we've seen time and time again, these emotions that have been stuck inside of us. This isn't just the gunk and the detoxing that we do, but it's the emotions. And a lot of times it's the anger, like the liver is letting go of stuff, and that anger comes through. And I was actually just talking to one of my friends about her doing a detox, and she said, yeah, but I'm just afraid of what will come through as far as my anger. And I said, that's why you need to do it, because that's going to happen. And then at the end of it, it's like you've meditated for 10 days. It's just that complete emotional detox that you experience.
Yeah. And you just got to face those demons, because guess what? When you push them away, and this is a theory, there's no scientific proof of this, but if every time anger comes up, you push it back down. I hear so many people saying, oh, it's okay. Like they just tell you this whole story. And then at the end, they write it off by saying, oh, it's going to be fine. It's okay. And guess what? That gets shoved back into your liver, shoved into your pancreas, shoved into your heart. And can that be why so many people are getting cancer? I don't know, but it's a theory. And what we notice is when we put people on a liver flush, you actually expel stones from your liver and gallbladder, real pea-sized stones into the toilet. And we do this honoring and releasing ceremony during our liver flush. We insist that everybody read this honoring, releasing, and actually burn pieces of paper of things they're letting go of. And when they release those stones, the emotions are actually grabbing on and jumping on to be released. It's kind of, this is more of a spiritual way of looking at it, but I really believe that the body has its way of releasing stuff. So why not release it out of your liver, through your liver stones, through the gallstones that are leaving? Throw those emotions in there with it to be released for good. And the only way to do that is to look at what you're feeling and say, I choose to let go and release this, whether it's a liver flush or whether it's a water fast or just a 1-day fast. Stuff's coming up, write that down, burn it, and let it go up into the ethers. Even just, over a candle, and throw it in like a bowl and just watch it burn. And it's really therapeutic.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. So just let's finish up our little story about our fast. So we started on a Monday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was day 3, our hard day. We got through it. We walked every day. We were out in the sunshine. We made sure we got our bodies outside on the earth. I think it was either day 3 or day 4. You and me drove out to the Catalinas in Tucson and it was very slow, but cathartic walk, and went down to the water and looked at the cacti. And even though we were super just physically not so quick, we just did it. And actually that was really healing to be outside.
Nature is so healing, especially on a cleanse.
Yeah. And people think, oh, I need to hunker down in my house. But every time I fast here, especially because I do it twice a week, and on Sundays I like to dry fast, which means no water, I have so much energy. And the first thing I do when I get up in the morning, because I love my coffee ritual and I know I can't have coffee. So on my fasting days, I get up, and the first thing I do after I take my cold shower and meditate is I get outside. And even though it's like 30 degrees here right now, Fahrenheit, I go on a bundled up walk through my neighborhood, 20 minutes. And then last week I was shoveling snow off my driveway and just moving my body, and just being outside and breathing the fresh air is, that's food. That's mana right there. And so don't forget that while you're fasting, that you need that. No matter how cold it is or hot it is outside, you need that outdoor mana to feed your soul.
And the sun, even if you can get in some sunshine, even if it's just on your face. Springtime might be a little bit easier for this, but the sun is also so nourishing. I found, because we were able to do some sunbathing, is you just felt re-energized after that. And maybe not complete physical re-energized, but it will just mentally, and you just feel at peace again.
Yeah, there was one day I don't know where you were. You maybe had to go do an errand. And I think you went to the post office to mail some of our packages. And I was out in your backyard. Bryce was at work, and I just took all my clothes off and laid down on your hot, whatever it was in your backyard, your tiles. And I just could feel that sun radiating on my body, and it felt so nourishing. And it was only like 10 or 15 minutes. But yes, if you can get yourself naked during a fast, great. If you can get yourself into a hot tub or a sauna or even a cold plunge, which is a whole nother episode, but just I've gotten really into these cold showers because the water comes out so cold here in Bend, Oregon. Every morning I get up, fasting or not, and just ice my body with a cold shower. But you could also do a hot bath and then finish it with an iced cold shower, or vice versa. But that invigoration of the cold is really good for you as well. So that's we're talking about supplements now, and just how to what can you add into your fast? So that, and some other things that you and me did on our fast. So we got to day 4. We felt great. We did this outdoor stuff. We both did acupuncture on day 4, which luckily for us in Tucson, it's really inexpensive. You pay $15 because it's group acupuncture. You go in your chair, the guy comes up and puts the needles in. I told him I was on a cleanse or a fast. And you lay there, we didn't really sleep, but you just kind of relax for 30 minutes and then you're on your way and you've gotten this whole reset from acupuncture.
Yeah, I felt like getting either an acupuncture or a massage is also another really great way to just move things through. And he had just put the needles in me this time in acupuncture, and I felt this wave of intense nausea. And it only lasted for a minute, but he was, really focusing on my liver and kidneys. And I feel like that was just another layer of things coming out, and I was able to relax through it. And then I found that 20 minutes in, I couldn't sit anymore. I had like jittery energy, which, we hadn't drinking coffee in 4 days. So wasn't that. It was just this like nervous system on overdrive a little bit energy. And I think that was really helpful for just moving things along as well. Massages are another really great one that are going to help just move that lymph system, which is what we really want to continue moving when we're fasting.
So when you're on a fast, you may sleep more, like you might just pass out at 3 p.m., but also you didn't get a lot of sleep. I know on the night 3, I didn't get much sleep, but talk about how that was for you. You still felt so energized. I couldn't believe you were going on 3 hours sleep.
Yeah, that is one of the weirdest feelings, and something that since that has happened, so many people have told me similar things. I would say day 1 and 2, I fell asleep by like 8, and I slept for like 10, 11 hours. So those 2 days were recharge sessions. And then, by day 3 that night, it was about 2 to 3 hours. And actually that continued for the next week, which is bizarre. I do want to tell the story quickly because there's someone at the market. He's such an awesome guy. He must be, in his upper 60s or 70s, but we told him about this fast. And I said, yeah, I just haven't been sleeping and blah, blah, blah. And he's, oh yeah, I did this 12-day water fast. And, you just have to realize that maybe you can be doing other stuff during the night. Who says that you have to be sleeping? And it kind of clicked in me, because I was so worried, oh, it's going to catch up to me. I've gotten 2 or 3 hours of sleep in this whole week. Our body needs sleep. We need sleep. We need 8 hours of sleep. Everyone's saying 8 hours of sleep. That's what you need. That's for longevity and all this stuff. And he said, why don't you just embrace it? You have all of these extra hours in the day. Go do something fun. Go out and stay out dancing if you want to, or go and read all night long. Just because it's dark and everyone else is asleep, you have all this quiet time to yourself. And so I think that was a really good perspective to have too.
I love that. I know it was stressing you out a little bit, but you got up and you meditated a lot and you went on a moonlight walk.
I was at peace with it for sure. It's just when it continues on. But again, I'm fine. It didn't weigh me down at all. It was just this extra energy that my body was able to use, and something that with autoimmune, I don't always believe sometimes that I am as healthy as everyone else or even more. So knowing that my body could just sustain on this life energy was really, really cool.
Yeah, it shows you how resilient you are. I think though 80% of our energy goes towards digesting food. So it makes sense by day 3, the body's like, I really don't need 8 hours of sleep. I got this, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it had done the majority of its healing. And so day 4 and 5. So you guys finished your fast on day 4, which I think is great. 4 days is great because that 4th day is, so let me just talk about this briefly, is when you go into what's called autophagy. Some people pronounce it autophagy. And that is where your body starts eating up all the old dead cells floating around. And even the new cells, they get recharged and energized. And any pathogens like yeast, mold, fungus, bacteria that's in your system will get eaten. It's happening the whole time, but especially days 4 and 5, if you're doing a 5-day fast, is when you get really the stem cells start reproducing. And so maybe an old injury, like a knee injury or a joint pain that you hadn't really thought about for a while might resurface, and your stem cells are on hyper alert. And that's kind of probably, I think, why you weren't sleeping, is your body was these little busy bees in there, just repair. And you're like, yeah, I've got too much energy to sleep. So I just say embrace it and know that day 4 is when the brain is cleaning out its junk. And that's why you had so much creativity and great thought processes. The reason you didn't sleep is because you weren't digesting anything.
Yeah, exactly. And, like you said, using that time to meditate or going into those parts of the body, visualize your brain being cleaned and cleared out, or visualize certain parts of your organs and body just completely healing, because it happens so quickly. Like that healing that we can do by day 4 on a fast is something we can't do while we're eating food. So it's really a gift.
And let's just talk about like knowing when to end your fast. I think it's really awesome and great and important that you guys were like, it's the end of day 4. I feel complete. How did you know it was time for you to be done?
Your body does talk to you. And especially when you're fasting, you get a lot clearer messages. And okay, the messages on day 3 for me to quit were not clear. Those were
hunger.
those were angry little messages. But you get to a point, everyone's at a different stage in their cleansing, and every cleanse is different. Like I have done my extended fasting cleanse when I was really, really ill and sick. And this time, day 4, I've been working on my hormones a lot, and I was on birth control for 10 years. And after 6 years of going off of it, I actually never menstruated. So once I started, I've been really focusing on hormone balancing and, cleansing. There's this fine balance, or fasting, I should say, there's this fine balance in reproducing your hormones and really balancing, and until it gets to a point where your hormones can actually go the other way and you're putting a little bit too much stress on the body. So by day 4 that evening, I knew if I can just get a light soup or something in me, my body's going to really thank me the next day. And it was true. I wouldn't say that I really broke the fast. I mean, I did have some blended soup, but I was still in that autophagy, in that cleaning state. And day 5, I continued my extended fast until I think it was like 12 or 1. So I would say that even if you do end it with something blended or nourishing, then your body's still going to reap those benefits.
Oh, I totally agree. So you and I were checking our blood ketones the whole time, and we were like in deep ketosis. I have another video that we put out on YouTube on how to check your blood ketones, but it's basically this little monitor that I have that you prick your finger and you test the blood. And I think you didn't really break your fast. Like you said, you had a little bit of miso soup, and we were still like the next morning, you were still in deep ketosis. So I think what's great about that is in your mind, you're like, I'm kind of ending the water fast, but you didn't go hog wild into food because you were still in fasting mode for 5 days. And I think that's kind of a gentle ways to ease out of a water fast versus just being like, okay, it's day 6, I get to pig out, because that's never going to be healthy. So I think the way that you did it, where you just, and I did the same thing, but I just did it a day later, just eased out with gentle blended miso soup with a quarter of an avocado in it. We didn't add any fruit or sugar or anything into it. So I think that's a perfect way. I want to talk about the supplements we took, and also a little bit about liver flushing, because you could be fasting and liver flushing, or doing blended foods and liver flushing, or even eating and liver flushing. So there's different ways to do a liver flush as well. But so while we were fasting, since we were on water, we were doing a few supplements. One was called Cyto Detox, which I talked about with Dr. Pompa in, I think it was episode 17. And we talked about how that detoxes you on a cellular level, and it doesn't interrupt your water fast. It's basically just cleaning your cells out on a cellular level, which is really supportive, as opposed to suffering and feeling really crappy because you've got all these toxins floating around your bloodstream. The Cyto Detox will go in and just think of it as like little window washers for your cells. It's just in there making everything squeaky clean. And it tastes really good. It tastes like orange cream soda or something. And you just put like a dropper full under your tongue. And we were doing that like 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm. I felt like that really helped with any feeling of just feeling detoxing, or any sort of headache symptoms, or any feeling of unease in the body. It's pretty instantaneous. I was pretty shocked about how amazing that stuff was.
And we were also taking something else that we really love, which was called Bind. And that is a combination of Cascara sagrada, which is a little bit of a laxative, activated charcoal, which we know that sucks up toxins, and then something else called zeolites, which acts like a catcher's mitt. So if you have toxins coming out of you faster than your body can handle them, it's basically like a sieve just sucking everything up, pushing it through your colon. So again, you're not absorbing the charcoal or absorbing the zeolites. In fact, it's the opposite. It's like having this little friendly little ball in your gut, just going, oh, I'll take that for you. I'll take that for you. Like a little mini vacuum cleaner. That's how you should look at the bind. And it's not just activated charcoal, since it's got the zeolites and the cascara sagrada and maybe a couple other things in there. It really helps synergistically to work together. So that one you take at night. And I did a couple coffee enemas, which is another supplement. It's very different than drinking coffee. When you put it in from the other end, it actually opens up the liver and bile ducts and helps you dump excess toxins from the liver and the gallbladder and even all of your intrahepatic ducts. If you take bind like 45 minutes before you do a coffee enema, it'll start grabbing onto anything that's getting released from your liver. I didn't get a coffee headache at all because I did a couple coffee enemas, and that seemed to help. I got a little bit stimulated, but not how you would when you drink coffee. And I just felt like it freed my body up of a bunch of excess toxins. And I even noticed like a yellow color coming out into the toilet, which is all the bile releasing, all that acid bile that your body's producing and really isn't getting rid of while you're fasting because you're not, stimulating the bile with fat. So anyway, that bind will help to kind of catch that. So I can't say enough good things about bind. You want to take it every night, 2 or 3 capsules. And then if you're doing an enema of any kind, but especially a coffee enema, maybe like while you're preparing the enema, you take the bind capsules, and that's going to help just catch anything that comes out. And we do have, we'll put it in the show notes, but I have a link to how to do a coffee enema on our blog and how to do a regular water enema. Don't be scared. It's not as hard as it sounds. It's just basically flushing water up your bum with a super skinny tube that's like the size of half the size of a pencil. It's super, super thin tube. It's not painful at all to do.
Yeah, and we'll put the links for the Cyto detox and the bind in the show notes as well.
Yeah. And then the third one that we used is something, these are all from Revelation Health, which we are now ambassadors for Revelation Health as far as their supplements. So we'll put the link so that you can use our link. That way it helps us pay for this podcast, but also, it's the same price and you guys get to support us while buying these products that we totally love and recommend and are only telling you about them because they make your life better. The third one is called Fast Tonic, and it's something called molecular hydrogen. And it can promote a healthy balance of oxidative stress, and it neutralizes all the harmful free radicals, and it turns it into water and releases it through your system. So if you're feeling that nausea like you experienced, Kate, or you're feeling just super tired, even on a 1-day water fast, this Fast Tonic is going to go in with this molecular hydrogen and kind of just neutralize all those toxins. It's different than the Cyto detox because this is like a flush. It just flushes things through your system. And you put this little gray capsule in water and it fizzes up. It tastes a little bit metallic, but it helps with the free radicals from heavy metals or anything releasing from your body. So those are the 3 things we recommend on a water fast or even a juice fast to take to just why not make the time that you're fasting go better and go easier for you?
We also have a cleanse kit that we recommend for any of our liver flush or cleansing students. And one of the things that I was definitely taking the whole time was malic acid. And with the malic acid, it's really good for the liver as far as when you're doing a liver flush, but it's also good just on a cleanse itself. I find that if you have any skin breakouts or you're prone to getting breakouts during your cleansing, the malic acid helps clear that out quickly. And I find it to be just that much more deeper as far as getting that liver clean.
Yeah, I love malic acid and I use it every time I do a liver flush. But I think you're right. Any kind of water fast is great because, again, all it's doing is dilating your bile ducts, softening and releasing stones. It's like the perfect addition. And like you said, whether it's a water fast or a liver flush, you're going to release more stones. I've actually released liver stones on like the 3rd day just taking malic acid without doing the actual olive oil flush, just because it starts to release stuff. And I do notice it makes my skin really beautiful, really soft. And it tastes sour, like a really sour lemon. So you just put that in some water and it's almost like you're having like a really sour lemon drink. Or you could take it as capsules too. Let's talk a little bit about the liver flush. So what the liver flush would be is it's also a 5-day protocol. And we do not recommend drinking olive oil and grapefruit juice or lemon juice without doing this 5-day protocol, unless you're a 100% raw foodist or your diet is so clean and you've been doing other fasting or cleansing protocols. And the reason you need 5 days of this liver flush protocol is because this malic acid will help soften the stones in your liver and gallbladder and your intrahepatic ducts, because you don't want something getting stuck. And it helps dilate. Like, think about when women are pregnant and they dilate to have the baby. The same thing is happening with all your bile ducts, is this malic acid starts to open them up so that things can flush out really easily. And the other thing we like to recommend is something called oxymagnesium. And you've heard of magnesium, and when you take a lot of magnesium, how your bowels will just flush. Well, this is combined with oxygen, so it sends excess oxygen into the colon and helps to slough off what's on the cell walls or what might be left. So what you'll find is, even if you're fasting and you're taking this, there's like sediment that keeps going into the toilet that you're like, I'm not even eating, but this sediment keeps coming out, sinks to the bottom of the toilet. And that's the oxymag just kind of helping clear anything else that's on the colon walls or stuck in one of the corners. And it also makes you not feel crappy while you're fasting, because it's literally getting extra crap out. And that's why we call feeling crappy, because it's usually stuff that's stuck in our colon that we just can't get out. We recommend taking that at night so that you're not running to the toilet all day, but maybe you take it like 3 to 5 capsules at night, and then you wake up in the morning, you do a big poo, and you're on with your day. And then the third supplement that we recommend during any kind of fast, could also be done during a water fast, but also for sure during a liver flush, is to take enzymes. And we have something called reconstructive enzymes, which we've talked about before, but maybe not on a podcast. They have something called serrapeptase, which is a metabolic or systemic enzyme, very different than a food digesting enzyme. It actually helps go through and clear out any fibrin, which, if you've ever gotten fibroid cystic breast disease, where you get these lumps that are really tender in your breasts, or you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, the keyword there being cyst, or any kind of cysts in your body or scar tissue that might be affecting your internal organs, or if you've ever had surgery, this is serrapeptase plus these other enzymes in the reconstructive enzymes will help to dissolve. And I've actually seen little gelatin balls coming out of my pee, and that's all the fibrin breaking down. We've actually had success stories of women who've tried everything for their polycystic ovarian syndrome, and these reconstructive enzymes are the only things that have helped get rid of the painful symptoms, helped women start menstruating again that weren't able to menstruate, help people with any kind of scar tissue actually break down that scar tissue. And it works so well, in fact, that Katelyn, do you want to tell the story about your shoulder scar tissue?
Yeah, well, I can totally attest to the fact that I was on these enzymes for, I think it was 30 to 40 days, and I menstruated for the first time in 6 years. So I was taking some other herbs at the time as well, but I'd been taking every single herb under the sun to try and get my menstruation back, and literally 30 or 40 days on these enzymes, and I got it back. So I also have been diagnosed with PCOS, or Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, and since being on these, I literally have no symptoms at all. So I love them, and I think they're a miracle. I was doing a lot at the time because Elaina knows this as well and part of her practice, but if you take a little, that's great, but a lot is the best. So we usually tend to go a little bit overboard, and I definitely think I went overboard on these enzymes, and I have a history of dislocated shoulder, and my shoulder actually just slipped out, and it was because it was breaking up so much of that scar tissue. It had gone through my ovaries, it had done all it needed to do, and it was now working on other parts of my body that scar tissue had built up. So I would say, yeah, it definitely works.
So we were taking, just so you know, because when we met the guy so we repackaged these enzymes and put our own label on it. And so we met the guy, he doesn't sell it retail. He only does like huge amounts wholesale. So we had to buy like 500 bottles from him. So we're like, oh yeah, well, we have a lot of them. So let's play around and see what to do. And he recommended trying 10 in the morning and 10 at night, like if you really want to see results. So we were both doing on an empty stomach right at night before we went to bed. And then right away in the morning before I would even meditate, I would take 10 more. I just wanted to see what would happen. For me, I don't really have any scar tissue, but my joints were feeling amazing. And like just everything felt good. And I didn't continue to take that many because I didn't feel like I needed it. But like you, Kate, you noticed, oh, wow, okay, it cleared up the PCOS. And then like, okay, maybe I should back off now because I really kind of need that excess buildup of scar tissue in my shoulder to keep it in its joint. And if you have a chronic injury like that, maybe that's something to think about. But most people have scar tissue that's not serving them. So what we would recommend is just doing it for like 30 days, doing 10 in the morning and 10 at night. And then after that, you can back off and just do it sporadically, or like maybe just 4 in the morning and 4 at night, just to kind of keep your system cleansed. And any fibroids that might be building up somewhere, even in your brain tissue, we don't know. People get tumors in their brains all the time. So it's just preventative. This is really great preventative stuff. And it's perfect to do while you're fasting because the body's working so hard. And that's why we call it reconstructive enzymes. We actually came up with that name because it rebuilds your body. Like if you have a bad bum knee, it can go in there and like reconstruct the tissue in your knee and get rid of that scar tissue and help you actually reconstruct your body. So it's like the $6 million man.
Man.
Without paying $6 million. Yeah, so we can't say enough good stuff about doing a liver flush. And if you're going to do a liver flush, we do have the whole protocol on the website, and you can buy the online course, which is me guiding you through 5 days. You get a video from me every morning. And since I'm doing the cleanse while I'm doing the recordings, you get to see how I'm feeling every day and like, oh, today you're experiencing this. And great, good for you. You're on day 3 and this and that. And we give you 3 ways to do it. You can do it either fasting, or you can do it on blended foods, or you can do it on a raw food light diet. So either way, these are all cleanses. And we really recommend the liver cleanse because it combines liver flushing with colon cleansing, because you get, with our supplements, you kind of get a double whammy there. And it actually supports all of your organs. And so we do recommend that. But we also recommend doing a kidney flush once or twice a year. And you can just buy, we have teas that we recommend, but a really great tea online. You just buy a kidney flush tea from a company called Schultz, and you can buy his little kidney cleanse on Amazon or online and just type in Dr. Schultz kidney cleanse, and he sells a tea. And it's just a tea that you take for like a week. And so we recommend that. And there's a lot of different great kinds of cleanses out there, but we've done our homework. And like Kate said, I've been doing this for 20 years, and this liver flush really works. So at the end of the 5 days, you drink either grapefruit juice and olive oil together, and then you go to bed, and the next morning you wake up and poop out a bunch of stones. Or I've been switching back because I'm ketogenic to doing lemon juice combined with ginger that I blend and malic acid and a little bit of stevia and olive oil. And it's this yummy salad dressing drink that you drink at night after you've been fasting. So it tastes delicious. You feel like you're getting a meal. And you wake up the next morning and voila, your body just releases a bunch of stones, which is super awesome. You want to stay close to home on that last day, which could be like a Saturday or Sunday, and do this. I would recommend doing it once a month for 6 months, but at least 4 times a year, you need to do a liver flush until you stop releasing stones. And it could take a couple of years for you to, like I've done over 40 flushes, and now I feel like my liver works really well. In fact, my acupuncturist, every time he takes my pulse, he's like, you've got a really strong liver. I'm shocked at how well my digestion works. Like I am a powerhouse when it comes to digesting food. I surprise myself. So I know it's because of all the work I've done on my liver, because the liver and the gallbladder are what hold the bile. Just a quick lesson on bile. The gallbladder holds excess bile from the liver. The liver makes the bile, sends it up to the gallbladder. The gallbladder is like this little pouch that stores excess bile for when the fat comes through. So when you eat like a bunch of olive oil or even some meat with a lot of fat in it, or cheese or whatever it is you're eating, your gallbladder is like, oh, time to dump the bile. And you need that bile to actually make your stomach super acid to digest this fat. Without a properly functioning liver and gallbladder, you're not digesting. You're getting breakouts, skin disruptions. You're getting just bloating. You just don't feel comfortable after you eat. All that has to do with having a fatty liver or just an uncleansed liver. So I cannot say enough good stuff about doing a liver flush. We support you through it completely through our Facebook site that's free, that we just add you to. And then you get the cleanse from us and all the cleansing supplements, and you can just send us quick questions. So we're really into supporting people through these cleanses and flushes. And like you said earlier, Kate, there's a lot of people that have done it that are also, hey, I did the cleanse, like here's what happened to me. And so you get your team of other people supporting you through these cleanses. And so the reason we wanted to do this podcast today is just to talk to you about how important it is to cleanse, some kind of cleanse, whether it's a fast, a liver cleanse, a blended cleanse, a juice fast, whatever it is that you decide to do, we encourage you to do it. And new research is coming out every day. Like now, Dr. Fung has written a book. Dr. Pompa's gotten really well known for his fasting protocols. More and more people are talking about fasting and all of its benefits, which I've known for 20 years. And it's just, I was ahead of my time. And so now I'm doing my little happy dance that other people are now like accepting fasting as a way to look youthful. And people always ask me like, wow, your skin looks amazing. And I'm like, well, I take really good care of my body, and fasting really helps restore and rejuvenate as well as all the other stuff I do, which segueing in is our ketogenic diet, which we really believe in. Plant-based ketogenic is where it's at. We eat, me and Kate, we are no longer 100% vegan, but we're still 90% plant-based and ketogenic, and we love it. And we both feel so amazing on a ketogenic diet, which is high fat, low carbohydrate, no grains. And it sounds crazy to think, what do you mean no grains? I can't even eat rice. We have so many amazing recipes that you get to try if you do our 4-week love camp, our next one starts January 7th. But if you're listening to this at a later date, we do it 4 times a year. And now we're actually incorporating a 1-year program where you get to be with us for an entire year, because some people need that kind of support. And with the 1-year program, you get the behind the scenes stuff from us that we don't really talk about in our 1-month course. There's just not enough time. We really get you going on just getting serious with yourself. Like if you want to change and transform your life, start with our 1-month ketogenic love camp, which gives you all the recipes, all the carbs are counted for you and the fats, so you don't have to think, all the support online, as well as weekly live calls with us, on and on. There's so much support in how to do yoga, and we encourage you to do fitness, and we actually give you programs to do around all of that. Katelyn has created all this online training. She's put it all into place with our recipes and just everything, like lessons from me on how to even do breath work and cold plunging and saunas and like anything you could think of health-minded, we've packed into this 1-month training. You get an email every day of like, hey, here's your motivational quote for the day, and here's your lesson on like how to do a vision board or how to journal or how to meditate, on and on. And we keep every day encouraging you to do something, try something new.
Yeah, I want to just say the biggest takeaway that so many of our love campers get is the support. And, we've been doing this for a while now, and I always thought I could do it on my own. Like, I'll just be my own little researcher. I'm going to find it all. But until I had that mentorship and other people that were doing the same thing with me, like at the time it was 100% raw food diet, but it was a tribe that I could confide in with questions at any time. And that's what we've created here too. And we've taken, your 20 years, my 10 years of basically just like getting our bodies to the best place possible. And now we have a platform that we can like put a lesson in every single day about all these things that we've learned. And we're able to share this while connecting other people to each other.
And what I'm learning, because I'm an avid podcast listener, I listen to so many podcasts and I've watched YouTube videos. And what this new science is coming out is how important community is. People that are single, that live alone, that don't have community die younger and they're sicker. Science is showing this. So joining a supportive community, we call it our Pure Joy family. Like there's people like Ava who have become family members to us, people like Liz, people like Allie, people like
Carolyn,
Kendall, who's now part of Carolyn, who's now part of our team. Like we started including people in our Pure Joy team members, and Crystal, and people that have come to our live chef trainings. But once you start doing this with us, you get to know us and we get to know you, and you're part of something. And you can be online every day and see, oh, Elaina posted on Instagram a new recipe or just a motivational thing for today, or how to make orange peel powder, or like a new keto recipe. So you become part of our family. And so the reason I'm doing this podcast, honestly, like I'm not getting paid for this podcast. It's all free info. I'm doing it because you to know you're not alone. And also like, I want to share information with you that there's no way I can possibly do any other way. I can't type this into an email, but if you guys listen to me every week, whether it's me and Kate talking, we promise you that we're going to try and get you into who we really are, not just this surface, everything's great Facebook post, but no, these are some things we've experienced that aren't great. These are some things that we're struggling with. We want to be real with you, and we want you to be real with us and know that we're all in this together. And that's why joining our course is not just for us to make money, but for us to create this family. And like, there's not a lot of people out there doing ketogenic, let alone plant-based, let alone consciously, let alone like thinking of this as a spiritual experience. And so if you have people that you know are doing it, you don't feel alone. Like, even if your whole family thinks you're wacko, you've got people that are like, no, we've done this. We know that this is the way to go. Like, I can tell you after 20 years, I've tried everything and this works. Ketogenic, plant strong, I want to say, because you can include a little bit of, we call it flexitarian, a little bit of animal products when you're ready. But we encourage the first month to go 100% plant-based to clean your body out, and then decide for you what that 10% is you want to add back in. That also leaves it open and flexible, so we're not being dogmatic in any way, because dogma never works any time. And if you're listening and you're 100% vegan, good for you, and you want to stay that way, that's great. But if you're listening and you're not vegan at all, we still totally have space for you in our course, because we think that it's okay to add in some pasture-raised eggs or some really healthy animal products if you feel that your body needs it. And we're not here to judge anybody. We're just here to support you and to just really use this time to help you be the best you on this planet. And healthy people create a healthy planet. If we want to heal this world and this planet, we've got to start with ourselves. And we got to stop judging people if they're not all vegan. We got to stop judging them if they're not ketogenic. Let's just all be in this together and just create this beautiful hub for us to all go out from and have the ripple effect and change the planet. And that's why our company is called Pure Joy Planet, because we both, Katelyn and I, have this vision of creating a world that is full of joy. And joyful people don't kill each other. Joyful people don't beat their wives. Joyful people are nice, caring, loving, kind people who let people in traffic. And so that's the kind of world that we want to create with you. So please join us. Please become part of our family. And you're joining our Love Camp actually helps support us to keep going and keep this company running and coming up with new products and ideas and other things we can launch and new things we can share with you. So any final words from you, Kate, after my launch?
Beautifully said. I think you've said exactly what we are as humans and as a business. And I just want to say 2019 is going to be one of our most exciting and just fulfilling and community-oriented year yet. So I'm really excited for everyone to continue this journey with us.
Yay. So thank you guys for listening today. And please give us feedback on this podcast. Tell us what you loved about what you heard. Tell us what you want to hear more of. Tell us if there's someone you think that either Kate or I should interview. Tell us if you want us to come and do a workshop where you live, or we're going to do a book tour this year. So just keep in touch with us. Let us know what you want. And please, if you love this podcast, give us a 5-star review so that we can show up on New and Noteworthy and more people can find us. And that would be what you could do. Your one great thing you could do today is just take the minute to go in and rate and review this. And that really, really helps. And your comments, if you start commenting, I can start reading them online. Send me your questions and I can do a Q&A podcast. So we'll start collecting all of those as well. So we love you guys and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.